Well, good morning. Welcome to Debbie's Back Porch. So glad to have you with us. And it's going to be a great morning this morning because I decided to cook breakfast. CarbQuick biscuits and sausage gravy. You know, you can make this for about 2 grams of carbs per serving. Maybe 2.5. Depends on how much you eat. Less than 5 grams if you have the CarbQuick biscuit. Let me show you how to do that. In the meantime, quickly, if you like our videos, give us a thumbs up. And if you subscribe and click the little bell in the top right corner, you'll get a notice when I post new videos. Now let's get cooking. Now some of these may be new ingredients for you. This is a tablespoonful of CarbQuick. And I order this off of Amazon, or you can order it from Tova Industries. It's a little pricey, but if you're eating keto and you're craving carbs, it may be worth it to you. It's $23 for 5 pounds, but it lasts a long time. And then this is a teaspoonful of Glucomannen, which is also, it may be a new product for you. This is Konjac root. And just to give you an idea, this is what they make those shirataki noodles out of. This is a ½ teaspoonful of salt and a generous portion of freshly ground black pepper. This is 1.5 cups of whole milk. And, you know, I'll double check that. It looks like more than that, but it's 1.5 cups. And this is 2 tablespoons of butter. Now this product, I know you're going to have trouble seeing it. This is a really old bottle, and I've washed it lots of times, so it's discolored the label. This is Kitchen Bouquet. It's a browning sauce. And this is optional. If you don't have it, don't let that stop you from making this. So I've browned up a little sausage here, and some of it you can see I got real brown. All I had was pre-made patties, so I just kind of broke them up. But you know, you can use bulk sausage. You can use any kind of sausage you want to use. And you just want to cook it. Now this is particularly lean. And it doesn't leave any grease in the pan at all. If it had left some grease, or if you had some bacon grease, you could use that instead of the butter. You just want 2 tablespoons full. And I'm going to add the butter in since I don't have any other grease. And I'm going to do this in real time. There's my butter. And ooh, that's a high sizzle. I'm going to turn my heat down just a little bit. One thing about using these products that I've showed you, the CarbQuick and the Glucomannen, is you want to not use too high a heat. You know, that's true in almost anything. I know most people tend to cook things at too high a temperature, and then they wonder why they don't like the results. But I'm going to turn this on medium heat. This is a high BTU burner, but I'm going to turn it down on medium heat. And just let that start to melt. This is the CarbQuick flour, 1 tablespoonful. And normally I just tell you, just put your ingredients in any order. That's not true with this. There is a reasoning behind the order I'm adding this. So the CarbQuick into the butter, or the melted fat, and then the salt and pepper. Let me explain this a little bit, because I've tried gravy many different ways on low carb, on keto, and this has worked the best. The Glucomannen is the thickener. It has no color and has no taste. And if you want to just use it, you can. But then your gravy has no color. So this 1 tablespoonful of CarbQuick, I'm going to use it to brown and to give you some little bit more flavor and a lot more color. And I'm using it just as I would flour. Now, one note, if you don't have the CarbQuick, you can use 1 tablespoonful of flour. Now that's the Glucomannen. Once I've browned the CarbQuick or the flour, then we add the Glucomannen. It takes less heat. It doesn't react the same to the heat. That's why we added it last. Go back, the flour. If you want to use a tablespoonful of flour for this step, you can. The CarbQuick, that amount adds no carbs. The flour will add 5.6 for the whole pan of gravy. Here's our milk. Once that's browned and gotten a little color on it, I'm going to add the milk. This is a little bit different than if I were just making regular gravy. The milk has to be cold to work properly with the glucomannen, and you really should be using cold milk in a hot roux anyway. But it's important here that you have the milk cold. And we add it a little bit at a time. And the reason I'm showing you this in real time is I want you to notice this doesn't thicken right away as it would if you were making a regular roux with regular flour, with the full portion of regular flour. And I want you to kind of watch the process. The Glucomannen is a ground root, Konjac root, and it slowly rehydrates and thickens. It takes a couple minutes, and you don't see the immediate thickening that you see when you normally make gravy. So I'm adding the milk a little bit at a time, and when it gets to the point that we want it to be, we can stop adding the milk. And this works out right. 1.5 cups works out pretty close here. But if yours for some reason gets thicker, you can add a little bit more milk. If it's still too thin, you can stop. And this is going to thicken the whole time it's cooking. Unlike a roux, a flour roux, which will eventually stop thickening no matter what, no matter how long you cook it. So I'm stirring. I don't want it to stick, but I've got it on medium heat, so it's not likely to. And keep adding and keep adding. This is in real time. You see it doesn't take very long. You know, I just have to say, I've been cooking for 60 years. I started when I was just a kid, and I'm having to relearn so many things in moving over to keto cooking, but my taste hasn't changed. I still love a biscuit, and I still love gravy. This is the browning sauce. You can see I just put a few drops in, and I'm putting it in even though I have some color because I want you to see the difference. It just adds a little color, and it adds a little bit of meaty flavor. Not much, just a little bit. There are different brands of that, but Kitchen Bouquet is what I've always used. And oh, it lasts forever. I've had that bottle 4 or 5 years. It doesn't go bad. And I rarely use it, but when you want it, you want it. I've added my sausage back in. And a note about the Kitchen Bouquet. I'm going to have a video following this on making a velouté sauce, which is no milk, just broth. I'm going to add the rest of that milk in. And you really do need a browning sauce if you want to make meat gravy without the milk, because it's almost transparent. You can see through it. It doesn't have the same substance. The Glucomannen doesn't add any color or anything. So the browning sauce really helps when you're making a broth-based gravy instead of a milk-based gravy. So this is almost done. I'm just going to let it sit here and simmer for just another, oh, I don't know, 30, 45 seconds to absorb that last little bit of milk. And the timer just went off, and here are my CarbQuick biscuits. Yes, there's a video for these. I'll link it. So let's give this a little taste for salt. I think we're good. And I'll show you this. This is just about done. If you cook it another maybe another minute, it might get a little bit thicker. But I think we've gauged it just about right. I've got that much milk left. I'm going to put that in just because I don't want to waste it, and it's not enough to make much difference. Let this simmer maybe 30 seconds. I'll get my bowl. I'll plate up my biscuits, and then we'll have breakfast. And here are my biscuits. You know, every time I make those, I'm just amazed all over again. And there is my sausage gravy. And I'm going to plate that up. And I hope it didn't take too long showing you the whole thing, but I thought it was important for you to see the process. And now all that's left is to eat. And I just want you to see the texture of both the biscuit and the gravy. And it is yummy, especially, you know, if you've been craving biscuits and gravy, then you have to have biscuits and gravy. And this way you're staying on your diet. One thing about using the Glucomannen, which I really like, I actually got it to thicken puddings, and it works for that. But it also works for gravy. It has a little bit different mouthfeel than if you make this totally with flour. It has a little bit more gelatin feel. The low-carb thickeners are always just a little bit different than the flour and the cornstarch that we used to use. But Glucomannen is the best I have found. Hope you try this. Hope you like it. And I hope to see you again tomorrow.